Thank you, Singh Saab, and good afternoon, everybody. A warm welcome has already been extended. I am from the legal fraternity, advocate on record in Supreme Court. So talking about the technical aspects of the HR analytics would not really be my cup of tea. I can only sense that the entire future of HR is changing with these various tools. As a matter of fact, if I talk in terms of legal sense also, we are going to have all new set of laws related to the code of wages and others, which are going to change the future of the way we hire and the way we retain. And second, this COVID has, changed the workplace. People are working from home, and a lot of new dimensions have come in the working. So, what I can only say is, while we are all conscious of the benefits that HR analytics would do, we also need to, understand the ethical and legal challenges that this databasing of the behavior or the other aspects of human resource is going to be there. If it falls into the wrong hands or if it is misused, it may create ethical and legal challenges. It can even be misused as an evidence in a legal battle between an employer and an employee. So, uh, not in today's session, but in another session, I'll be happy to note how we are going to even strike a balance between the pros and cons of these HR analytics. And in the end, I can only say that this is such a fantastic subject, and I'm glad that PhD CCI, along with the other partners, is doing this. But I think we will be not doing full justice to the subject if we confine it to a one-day workshop or a few hours workshop. I feel the PhD CCI and the stakeholders should come up with a kind of a course, maybe an online course in collaboration, where on a long-term basis we can impart this awareness about these tools and the application there. Thank you so much. My compliments again to the organizers and welcome aboard.
Thank you, Dr. Jatinder Singh Gupta ji. And I think now we have a lady with amongst us, and as they say, ladies first. So I would request Dr. Alka Kaul to please share her thoughts and enlighten us about the trend in this.
Thank you. I have to actually really appreciate the organizers. And good afternoon to everybody, my esteemed panelists over here, and the audience who will be there listening to us, all of us. I would rather take this moment to bring the industry perspective, because I see the eminent panelists over here. They probably know more about analytics than me, but I would like to speak from the industry part of it. What is that we expect? No longer HR is just a support function. Actually, HR is a very mainstream. It has always been a mainstream, part, one pillar of an organization, and we realized this more so during the pandemic, when everybody was, off at their homes, and HR was frantically trying to connect all of them, make sure everybody is okay, work is okay. So I think before even we knew HR analytics, we were doing HR analytics, because Excel came. I remember when I actually in my predecessors, when when I used to go to visit my factory, and I used to see what this guy making register, filling up, trying to find absent kaun hai, present kaun hai, kya percentage is from absent, what percent. So, used to use this calculator plus and make all those things. And I remember when I came, joined, and I took over HR, I learned Excel was a good tool for doing all this, to find out who all belong from which community, because you need to be, as an HR person, you need to make sure that there is a diversification in the workplace, that brings in good things, that also helps in productivity, helps in decreasing your losses. So all this had to be done on an Excel format, and then increments came, watching your performances, KPIs. So we were doing all that, and it was required, but it was more personal based, and less of objective, more subjective. I think as the organizations are growing, as the people are growing, the newer generation that is coming in, the Gen Z, they're all a different thing. Their thinkings are different. So as HR now, we need to become little more objective, so that we can have a more precise, a more systematic feel in the company. While doing all this, I have seen what happens is I actually met with a couple of data scientists and HR analytical, and they were more interested in the analytical part of it than the HR part of it. Because if you're going to only throw me figures are very good, but they have to have the human resource, the human touch into it. Something. One person is absent. I honestly asked one person, I said, if this guy is absent so frequently, have you even bothered asking the person if he has got some genuine problem? No, madam, data dikha raha hai, this is how it is. Like, listen, go and talk, and then at the end of the day, we found out that the poor guy's daughter was having a medical issue, and that's why he was. So we counseled him. We said, okay, you apply leaves, we'll give you some extra leaves, so this is what it is. I think it is need of hour, because as my esteemed predecessor said, that there are legal aspect to it, and legal aspects have to be looked, and statutory compliances have to be met. So it is very important that we have analyticals in place, so that we can justify that this is objective and not subjective, so that it can stand in the court of law also, because we have seen that not always employee is wrong, not always employer is wrong. Sometimes both are right, and still the situation is not coming out as per we would like to. So human touch is very important. So analytical tools, without trying to understand why in the first place they were there or they are there, will not justify the industry. Because so this is one of my cautious point, that we all as HR need to be sure, even the guys who are making those analytical tools should have an overrider and saying, this is just a tool, it'll help you, but first need to know what you actually want out of those tools. That's very important. And for your for diversified population, this is good. It'll help us in understanding. Honestly, sometimes when a person leaves, we don't understand why he left. Everything was so right. So this will also help in all those aspects, so that we can do better for the the newer team in place. And also because, as I said, Gen Z is totally a different ball game. I think analytical tools for hiring will also help us to hire the right person for the right job. In the interview, sometimes you feel, oh, he will be very good for production. But it turns out while doing the production part, he is actually more suitable for the quality side of it. So maybe those tools would, help if we can also use them for the interviewing part of it, so that we can understand the basic nature of the person, and we can have the right fit. So the right fit in a company would actually bring in less attrition rate, more productivity, and a better conducive working environment. So from the industry point of view, honestly, I feel that it is need of the hour. Yes, it'll make the analysis faster, more precise, crisp, to the point. Would also give us why something happened, why this thing happened, because why tools are very essential. So this is something that would help us in that also. 1 second, sir. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So yes, this is what we need to do, and forecasting, because the volatility outside in the in the external atmosphere is like too much for any service industry or manufacturing industry, especially now when we have multi-locational, we have overseas offices or services, factories. So yes, but again, please have the human touch. Human touch is so important. Once you get your data, analyze it, because sometimes we just forget. It's analytical, right? So analysis needs you to use your own experience, your own judgment, and then look at it holistically, and just not believe the figures, and then take whatever decision you need to take. So I hope I have not made it difficult, and not I am all for it. Analytical tools, I do use some of them in my own factory, and I advocate the same. But I also advocate, because HR at the end of the day, it's all about human. So if you're not going to look into it, you'll never rise above, and do the good for the greater cause for both company as well as the people, because they both are together. I can never figure out why people put them separate. People need company, company need people. So if they're not together, you can't achieve, no good will come out of it. So and I am going to listen to all the esteemed panelists over here, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. I think now Dr. Jatinder Singh will take over. You are on mute.
Thank you, sir. Apologies. I'm in fact Guwahati. Some network issues there. So we had
No problem.
Dr. Alka call, and she rightly mentioned in terms of the gone are the days of Excel and all those stuff. Now we are in different era. And at the same time, when we talk of HR analytics, the only thing is that we should not get caught in the quagmire of becoming more and more analytical, becoming even more data driven. Because at the end of the day, when we are interacting with human resources, the human element that needs to be catered for. That's again a very, very important aspect. So rather than only going for data driven tools and becoming too much fascinated by the data and the tools and the softwares for HR analytics, I think this empathy, the compassion, so these are all important things that should go hand in hand. So that's only my submission. So in fact, now since everybody is there, and I'll request our chair to throw some light on this issue, since he is one of the doyen. He is in fact interacting with the IFCO workforce, which runs into thousands, and I'm sure that indirectly all those workforces related to lakhs of all these workers. So without any further ado, I'll request Mr. R.P. Singh to kindly throw light on this issue. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jatinder Singh. In fact, before you joined, I've already finished my stint.
I know, right, sir, right. But sir, I wanted to understand your element in terms of that human element in HR analytics.
Yeah. See, as you know, IFCO is a manufacturing organization. And in manufacturing organization, when you manufacture large quantities, you largely depend upon the machines. But when it comes to handling of those machines, eventually you have to fall back upon the human being. And as far as IFCO is concerned, since we have grown from the traditional era, we still believe more in the empathy and human touch than in analytics. I always find that the youngsters, they keep on analyzing data and telling things, and our IT people have also developed some bots which will speak and tell you what is going on, what is not going on, what should be done. You ask a question, then there will be a reply. But eventually I found that all that reply and data depends upon the data you feed in it. I don't know because we don't have a lot of experience of analytics in HR, because as far as I am concerned, all the 5,000 people I know by name, by face, and they also know me. So they keep on coming in contact with me. My email is freely accessible to all of them. And whenever I go to the plants, every day almost 100 to 200 people will come and meet me personally. So perhaps for a data analytics kind of study or kind of speech or kind of webinar, I'm not the fittest person. But when you talk of human touch, yes, I fully agree with Dr. Kaul that analytics should not lose human touch. Now I think we were eager to listen to our veteran here in HR, Mr. Rajiv Bhadoria, and I'll request Bhadoria Sahab to give his perspective.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope I am audible to everybody.
Yes,
Yes, sir, you are audible, and in fact, Bhadoria Sahib has been very kind to us. He has come here as our distinguished, speaker in earlier programs on nature also. Thank you very much, sir, for meeting you online.
It's always my pleasure to be associated, and with people like Mr. R.P. Singh, I've had a great regard for, and it's always there. See, the point is that now let me kind of play a bull in a china shop. Because when we talk about HR analytics, let me put this thing in a perspective. I've had a long experience dealing with technology, and particularly dealing with HR and HR analytics, workforce analytics, particularly, to be very specific about. But let me now put in a perspective, in fact, because what happens many a times in talking about the small details, in count of trees, we lose the sight of the forest. So what happens, I would say that there are three problems of humanity today. And the first problem is that we still, as humans, have Paleolithic emotions, as Mr. R.P. Singh was referring to, that human empathy and human relationships. That's always very important. And we still have that millions of years ago, what happened in the greens of Savannah. We still retain that Paleolithic emotions. So that's point number one. The other is that we have structures which are still medieval, which are very linear.
Yes.
They are not able to handle what you call these emotions, in fact, and of people. And under the scientific management principles of 19th, 20th century, when this whole, mass assembly line operation started, we have dehumanized humans, in fact, because so you are not able to have institutions which have kept in pace with dealing with humans as an agency, as a person with free will. They are sentient, in fact, in a sense. And having a choice, rather, if not free will. They have choice of acting upon. And the third problem is that there is godlike technology. So the three problems: Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions, and godlike technology. Now, this has created a scenario which is the current day. Now, having said that, my point towards, in fact, I thought of speaking on the technology aspect of it, but what Dr. Alka said has prompted me, and particularly what Mr. R.P. Singh later on mentioned, has prompted me to talk about the fact that let's, revisit our assumptions. Are humans, human beings, we call them, in fact, but we say HR, human resources. Now, are humans resources, Faith, or not? Are they resources? And then are human resources manageable so that they can be understood in terms of algorithms of analytics? So, what is a resource? Resource means which has something utility. Humans have utility, yes, they can contribute. They don't have utility, but they have contributing capability. So they can, and they're very important, capable, contributors once technology has reached a platform today. So the cutting edge is going to come from, as Mr. R.P. Singh says, that technology is there more and more for assembly line operations, segregation principles, standardization, repeatability, getting it right first time, Six Sigma, Lean Sigma, balanced scorecard. Those are all analytical tools, in fact, which will help us manage our, functions of factories and manufacturing and other goods and services production. But what's going to happen is that human resource is not something which is quantifiable. We have a potential. So therefore, the analytical tools which help manage humans, first of all, is an anomaly. They cannot be managed. Just let me ask you a question. We are almost about 25 of us on this panel today. Is any there one single person, in fact, who would like to say that I would, as a human being, like to be managed by others? I don't think so. None of us would like to be managed. So you just see, when we cannot manage humans, then human resource management itself and human resource analytics becomes an anachronism, or it has to be understood in a very different perspective. And what has happened is the democratization of society over the 19th, 20th, 21st century, decentralization as a governance principle, participation, inclusiveness, bottoms-up approach has changed from the old-fashioned way of controlling humans, in fact, through analytics, through data. They are very important, and I'll come to that point, that data analytics is very important, and human resource analytics are very important for us to understand the human behavior, the temperament, and how we can use those tools, in fact, to develop the potential in humans, not managing them. So that is the point that needs to be done, because technology does not mean that if you have human resource analytics, you have less of human touch, you have less of humanism. Dehumanization has come from the way we use human beings in an exploitative and an extractive sense. Like, we have managed resources ever since the start of agriculture, that, we have extracted the natural resources and exploited them to the situation that we have now today brought ourselves on the verge of almost the 6th extinction event. Now, that's very important point that we need to remember. So technology is very good. Technology must understand that aspect of humans, which will lead to their behavioral management. In fact, and we kind of, understand truly that there could be legal aspects to the whole problem of collecting data. And as Mr. R.P. Singh said that, it's like data in and data out. If you say trash in, trash out, that's going to happen. But if we are conscious of the fact that we are dealing with humans, and not human resources, but human beings. So from human resource to human being is the mindset shift that has to take place. And then we start collecting data, information, knowledge, wisdom, technology tools, business models, which are scalable, then, which are sustainable, and ultimately what lead to human happiness. Now, that would be the prerogative of technology, which will also have HR analytics as one of the aspects, because ultimately, data-driven decision-making is absolutely the best way to take a decision, because it helps you being objective in a very subjective way. You have to be passionate, but in a dispassionate way. So you don't lose that human touch if you're using analytics and tools that actually help you govern establishment rather by whims and fancies, to rather, using data analytics and having a decision-making support system, which makes you more rational, more objective, and more kind of, clumsy in the sense that, you take decisions on your whims and fancies. So for a democratic setup, for a setup where, professional autonomy has to be given to people have to be respected and treated well, justice has to be ensured, people have to be kind of, treated with, dignity, with, I would say, diversity, inclusiveness, and equity are great principles to manage. We cannot do it without HR analytics. So analytics means it must delineate you the data, information to wisdom. Three things must be separated. Analytics does not mean it's core information collected into some data collected into information. No, analytic tools which will be useful for us, those algorithmics, which will determine the AI. You can use machine learning, you can use big data analytics to understand human behavior, because understanding human behavior is a problem. HR analytics, the problem is how to collect data. How to collect that data from humans is the most important thing. Just a minute. Let me take this. Hello. So just give me a minute. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm
Please
so
go ahead.
sorry. Actually, there's a major accident which had taken place, and so these people had to be sent to different places. I think it's still continuous. Somebody else is talking now.
Yes, sir. Please continue.
I'm so sorry. So sorry. I think my apologies, but accidents happen in the best organized families. So this is human nature. And so what I was talking about was that, so when we don't have, so how do we collect data about human behavior and behavior and temperament? So there are two ways. The problem of collecting and using HR tools is that we have perception-based surveys of humans. So what R.P. Singh ji was referring that, when you have empathy, when you have the other kinds of, ways and mechanism to kind of, better function with humans, tool and technology at times dehumanizes that relationship. So when we use HR analytics, in fact, it should be evidence-based. So what humans are required to do, what developmental aspects of human relations have to be managed, I think that is where the catch lies. And therefore, human resource have to be treated not as human resources, but as human beings. The tools that will be used to understand human beings will not necessarily be the ones which are actually used to bring in that productivity or maturity of machines. But we have to actually not address only the performance, but the potential development of humans when you use our analytical tools. They should not be used to manage them, but bring in more participation, inclusion, and so on and so forth. And that is important because participation from bottoms up, diversity, inclusiveness, and equity should then be seen that we are able to use those tools for bringing in the best in humans. And ultimately, we have to create adaptive, audacious, and agile humans. So there, the technology and tools would be very helpful because that provides a decision-making support regarding how have people happened, what has happened to them, give them real lifetime, online real-time data, and basis which they'll construct information, knowledge, and ultimately wisdom. So humans use wisdom, they don't use analytical information and knowledge alone. So we have to be very, very mature to use this technology and actually make it work, because future is for convergence of various technologies, and whatever is programmable and predictable will have to be done by the machines, but what is non-programmable and predictable will have to be done by humans. Just in time would fail, but just in case has to be handled by humans. So analytical tools will help us give these tools and technologies and platforms to support, to manage human beings, not in a sense of managing them or their behavior, but being able to provide support to them for better decision making. So I think I rest my case there. I think I've not overshot my time. I'm still within 3 minutes of the time allocated to me. And I would like to know, that's the way, in fact, which I see, because see, otherwise, when we use technology, we say either or. It's not a situation of technology or humans. No, it has to be the power of and. We have to have humans, we have to have technology, and technology which is aligned to the needs of, catering to the needs of human beings, not human resources. Because if we use human resources as a term, people say, what's in a name, call it by whatever name you feel like. No, it's very important. Because the moment we call human beings as human resources, immediately that exploitative and extractive mindset comes out, that get maximum productivity. Humans have to perform in their productivity best, they have to perform in their highest potential, and potential would be equaling to their performance only if you remove all those distractions. So technology has to be used to remove those interferences which actually inhibit or limit people to come up to their potential in their performance. So remove those interruptions, in fact, those interferences through advanced technology tools, giving them, a basis of taking decision making, which would be judicious, which would be data driven, which would be transparent, which would be objective, which would be humane, not driven by the need of controlling, in fact, and managing human resources. So I rest my case. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, to give your valuable inputs on the HR analyst. Thank you so much. Now I requested Dr. Hari Shankar Shyam to give here.
And I'm sorry for this interruption but it happened, because there are two trucks that have collided just outside. And so therefore these people had collected. So I had to just ask those people to come around.
It's fine, sir. It's fine.
Take care of it. Thank you.
Sir, I'd like to request Dr. Hari Shankar, give your point of view. please.
So I'm really happy the motion is already set, and I really welcome all the attendees today, participants, all my respected panelists, and all dear friends who are even attending the session live. We are going to talk about the power of HR analytics. And as our predecessors, my previous speakers have already highlighted, even though we talk about analytics, human perspective, the human touch is quite significant. But even though like many of my discussion will be towards HR analytics, the reason being the way world is changing, especially after post-corona. Of course, when you'll see manufacturing is one of the big side, but the way service industry is growing. Service industry is really growing in India like anything. Still, we are into 60, 64, 65%. And when you see the developed economies, they are touching 85, 88%, the service part. So here also we are going to see the boost. And what basically we need to understand, somehow, definitely over there, analytics is playing a crucial role. Let me share my slide first. Okay. Now, when you'll see this, I like to talk about what are the primary drivers of workforce analytics. Can we use analytics in every sector? Gradually, you will find in our corporates, gradually it is coming gradually one by one in certain areas. Of course, what is the major drivers? Decrease attribution. That is really you require, because you know, especially when you hire people on many of the companies, they want attribution need to be decreased, and their analytics helps. Manual task automation, one of the important drivers. HR process improvement, because you know, like Singapore government have already announced in coming years, almost 30% jobs they are going to give robots. Robot means basically what? It is an automation they are talking about. So HR process improvement is really required. It helps, you know, talent acquisition, talent management, it helps in a big way. And it enhances the employee productivity. These are the primary drivers which takes the workforce analytics toward the newer direction. Now what we need to understand, the uses of people analytics. What exactly where it helps? It helps you to acquire right talent more quickly. Like one of the areas which you can really use it very wisely is acquiring the right talent. Of course, it's a debatable in many of the cases, but yes, it helped a lot to the companies. It helped to ensure the fair compensation, analytics. You know, another one of the interesting thing you will find is it predict and harvest employee potential. Many of the time, potential is a very serious issue. Of course, I'm going to share some tools also, which helps you to predict and harvest employee potential, help to prevent turnover. Of course, employee turnover I'm talking about over here. You know, it helps in understanding what creates high performance. Because when you'll start studying analytics, various variables you'll start studying, you'll really come to know. You can see the correlations where it is very high. So it helps you understand what creates high performance. And one of the best ways it conducts succession planning. Friends, India is having an acute shortage of leaders. Like Rajiv sir is there, Paul ma'am is there. India is really, you know, acute shortage is there, a right kind of leaders. And succession planning is a big challenge. You'll see big corporates, many of the big corporates, they have a lot of leadership programs, you know, and they're really preparing in a very different direction, well planned. But majority of the companies, you know, we are not talking about the largest scale organization. MSME is also there. Small organization is also there. You know, you have to really understand how they will start using the analytics, and it really helps in conduct, you know, succession planning. That's one of the interesting part. Now, when you'll see this model, and this model will make you really understand what exactly you have to do. you just see, this is something very interesting. You know, the two axes you can see, one is the value, because we are talking about the value today, and the second is the difficulty part. Like even Rajiv sir was saying, data capturing is a challenge. Yes, you can do the analytics, but companies have to work how exactly you're going to capture the data. Singh sir was also mentioning the same thing. Now, when you see this, from information, you are going to optimization. You know, information is the key. The data is the key. And what basically you can do, the first part you can do is the descriptive analytics. It is very simply defined what happened. You know, descriptive is going to tell, like, for example, you are going for a blood test. That report is a kind of descriptive analytics. The various parameters is there, and you can get, okay, exactly what has happened. You will really come to know. The same thing you can do it over here. Now, what is the second wonderful thing you can do after this, my friend, is diagnostic analysis. Why did it happen? That is really very important. Because the moment you have the report now, like let's say I took an example of blood report only, which many of us usually go. Why did it happen? That's a really very interesting part. That is the next stage. And many of us, believe me, when we have a report, many of the times we don't go for the second part, the diagnostic. But in a company, we cannot risk it. We have to do it. There is a constant analytics is required. And why did it happen? We have to know. We need to deep dive and we have to find. And then we have to go for a predictive analysis, where we can also build scenarios. That's another option is there. What will happen? You know, just seeing the scene, you can really do it. And after that, you can go for a prescriptive analysis. How can we make it happen? The reason being an HR professional or an HR authority, the objectives are already set. You have to meet that objectives. How you're going to make that happen? And there you have to use this analytics part. So analytics is really becoming part of our life gradually. Yes, challenges are there, but one thing is sure, gradually it is going to be a party to every company. Now see, what are the softwares? Some of the major softwares and the tools I'm going to tell you, which is going to help you to do many kind of analytics. Like for example, for performance analysis, one of the tools you will find is the IntelliHR is there. You can really use it because many of the times, let's say as a person, I might be not aware of, but using this software can really help you. Basically what you have to do, the data entry, right data capturing, rest the analysis will be there. Sage HR is there, best for strategic goal tracking. Vizier People is there, best for customizable reports. You know, because many of the times you want, like you say, Click is very popular. Tableau is there for data, is there for visualization. Vizier People is very nice. You know, another. Then Qualtrics People Analytics is there because we really want to regularly conduct an employee surveys. You know, this is one of the interesting tool, and that survey will at least give you a lot of insights about on the various parameters which you are looking for. LeapSum is there, best for one of the best for employee engagement forecasting. You know, because forecasting is the key today. Whatever we are doing, we need to understand that we have to forecast data. Whatever data is there, of course, we can get a linear trend very easily.
Hari, just pardon me for interrupting. You've said a beautiful point from linear to non-linearity, you know, because now the point would be that humans would be enacting, in fact, their forecasting would become more difficult because the nature of work, the workforce and the workplace is going to change with technology. So therefore, this becomes the most important understanding of human analytics, that, you know, human resource to human beings you have to consider, and then you have this part. I'm sure that this is one of the best part that you've brought in. I'm sorry that I've interrupted, but I wanted to say that when there is a non-linear thinking involved, the forecasting and data alone can actually, analytics alone can help. Human is, you know, our memory, our, you know, analytics using our own intelligence is not good enough.
Yes,
so that's where
that's
the power of the and technology and human, you know, intellect.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, thank you.
No, sir. Yes, sir. So it was very nice. Now, when I talk about Lattice, it is best for employee review analytics. Of course, you know, where there are many other platforms are also there, but really you need to understand why these tools are important. One of the tools is, of course, IBM Workforce Planning, best for workforce forecasting. That's because the tools are there. Many of the times, let's say I'm not capable, no problem. Many tools are there. Gradually, you need to understand, can you take it? Can you implement these tools? Then ChartHop is there, best for integrations. And at the same time, I must appreciate there is one Indian brand called Zoho. You know, Zoho is an amazing tool, my friends. If you really now companies are integrating, and especially the smaller companies, the small, medium enterprises, it is a boon, I am telling, because they really give them a real insight. Many of the times I'm running a company, but I'm not understanding the HR concepts. You know, I'm just running the company. I'm not understanding many of the HR things, but this Zoho is really changing a life of many people. Then we have a human intelligence, best for cultural analytics, because culture is something so interesting. Like many of the companies I can see in NCR region, they're talking of things like diversity. And many of the companies have started hiring more females. You know, they're really, I have seen many of the big companies, they have given a target also that we have to hire from the diverse places, we have hire diverse culture, we have to hire. Because the reason being, after analytics, they are realizing what kind of diversity will bring, it is going to enhance the performance of the last. Trend data is there, of course, best for turnover or exit survey tracking. Because even many of the companies are doing exit survey, but what exactly happened after that? Do we have really do the analysis? So for that analysis, we'll started using tools like this. So auto analysis is there. So that can at least give you some ideas, some aspects, some insights, which can really help you to grow it very well. Now see, this is one of the bigger model. And that model will give you a big understanding exactly what happened. When you see this analytics, a kind of small, you can say framework is there, very basic framework, so you can understand. See the internal HR data, one area I'm talking about. The core HR or talent management system is there. Payroll is there. You know, TNA is there. Benefits data is there. Engagement survey data is there. Then what you are doing, data mining. Because we have tons of data is over there. How you are doing the data mining? It means the data collection. Basically, what we are doing, friends, whenever we are doing any analysis, three things are very important. One is the trend. We want to know whether one parameter is going up or down. That's really very interesting part. The second, we want to know the pattern. Within the trend, how the variations are happening. That pattern we have to know. So friend, one is the data collection. After data collection is friend ETL, where you have to extract data. In mining, let's say whatever, because I want customized report. On one customization, I must know how to mine. And of course, how you want to transform, because many of the time language has to be different. I have to present my bosses. I have to present my juniors. I have to present my fellow people. So I need to transform that data. That is really required. That's why human touch is also required over here. You know this. And of course, the load factor is really very important. One of the interesting things is happening when the API I'm talking about, you know, artificial intelligence is gradually coming. And this AI is changing a lot of aspects. You know, of course, many of the times it'll be there. I can show some very interesting tool. And you can really see how AI is making our life easy. And then you have to do analysis. When I'll see the top bosses, Raju sir will always ask, just give me data visualization. I'm not interested what is inside, from where, what sheet you bring. So here I have to give data visualization. Of course, in corporate, popular today is Qlik. Another popular is Tableau is becoming a very big issue. And earlier the basic is, of course, Excel was there. But many advanced formats have already come. Then there is a predictive modeling. Predictive modeling is a very interesting part. Here I have to do prediction. On the basis of data, I have to do prediction. This is really required. Just see an interesting part. An IT company have decided to recruit freshers. And they wanted to recruit how many freshers? 30,000 freshers from Pan India. That they have decided. What an interesting aspect. Now that IT company has to really forecast, they have to come with a model on the basis of trend. For 30,000, I need to hire 70,000, or I need to hire 80,000, or I need to hire 90,000. They have to forecast. A prediction modeling is there because they have to say when we'll offer this much, only this much of percentage will join at last. You know, because when you go for a campus hiring, many of the students have a 3-4 offers. They don't tend to join. So somebody have to do forecasting, because when companies are hiring in such a bulk, there is a mega exercises involved. A huge manpower is involved, budget is involved, time is involved. So you have to see the performance at the last. It is really required. Optimization. Optimization is basically what? You have to keep on learning whatever data you are getting, analysis you are getting, and you need to keep on correcting. One of the interesting part is the error minimization. You need to minimize the error. Now, machine learning, which is a new thing which is coming, and that machine learning is going to change. Why I said an example that Singapore government have already decided very soon 30% jobs, because now machine learning is coming. Machine is learning automatically, and you have already seen the example in every house now. Alexa and this kind of model is there. Scenario modeling. This is here who come, the physical touch come. Now I have a case, and the case is very interesting. The case is any small cases come. I really wanted to forecast. I wanted to hire a senior person in a top level position, and my software have said these 5 people are the best. You know, that analysis is already given that this 5 is the best. Now, out of this 5, my software or my analysis is not going to tell everything. So here I have to use Dr. Alka ma'am, here I have to use Singh sir, here I have to use Baduria sir, I have to use everybody. I need to build scenario. Scenario is really very important. If I'll hire him, what will happen? What are the cultural impact will be there? How he is going to give the direction? A lot of scenario building will be there. It's a very interesting exercise. But of course, data is required. And at the end, what you need insights. A lot of insights you are going to get from this. And this insight is really helping you a lot. And you know, one of the insight I have seen, I have 10 branches across India. In one of the branch I have seen, my, let's say male-female ratio, I have seen it is 6:4. That I have seen. And they are performing amazingly well. Or I have taken their average age, and I have realized the correlation is very high in terms of performance. So I make a plan. If I really wanted to transfer somebody, or I want to hire young face to, you know, to change the average age. If average age is very low, then I may have to hire a senior position guy. There will be a very interesting exercise, my friends. And of course, on the basis of that, we have to take the action. And that action, my friends, will change everything. You know, this action is the real base. And that action, if you're able to do it, it's an amazing. You have to do what? Prescriptive action. Like the way doctors give you prescription, you have to take that action. On the basis of that, you get the prescription. What exactly you have to do? KPI alert, scenario plan action, you know, database decisions. These things becomes very easy. Now, in practical implementation, when you'll see, my friends, access to the right skill set who can work with HR analytical tools. It means in an HR, there is a need to create a new position. Every company has to hire an analytics guy. That is really required over there. Aggressive data cleansing. This is really required. Because many of the times when you capture the data or whatever data you have in the past, you have captured, you know, right formatting is required. You really need to put data in a format. Maintenance of high quality data. You know, data is really required. So if you'll ask me as a technical expert, then you'll say you need a proper server or a cloud server. How you're maintaining high quality data. Many features are there. Data privacy is an issue. Data compliance is also an issue. You know, proving the value of reports to the leadership. Reports are really important. How you're getting the reports. And you need to identify the impact of strategies on return on investment. That is really required. On a practical implementation, this is a challenge. And when you have to integrate HR with the other data sources, again, it is a challenge. You know, it's nothing that today you are aloof from other data sources. You need to integrate the entire HR data with the other data. This is really, really important. And it can really help you to grow very well. Now, what are the HR analytics data sources? This is really very important. What are the sources we have? Of course, recruiting is the one source. Learning management is another. Succession planning is another. You know, you see every kind of demographic data, other HR data is there. We are getting data from HRS. That is the one. Then we are getting other HR data. A lot of data we are getting a lot of business data. Many data we are getting. And every data source will change the entire perspective. Try to understand. This is the few I have mentioned, which as a company, as an HR professional, you should start capturing it. So we'll keep on talking about this. You know, the only perspective was that you should really understand why HR analytics is really required. and how it is going to transform the entire business processes, how it can really create a big support to make company at the end what management is looking for. Profit maximization, cost reduction, the basic things are there. So it can be achieved very nicely with a very better culture, with a very happy employees. So thank you for this opportunity. The PhD chamber, Jatinder sir, thank you very much. Thank you from me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, to give your valuable thoughts on HR analyst power of. Now I requested Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, Head HR Administrator, Population Service International India, to give his thought on this power of HR analyst. I request Mr. Sanjeev, over to you.
Thank you so much, and hope I'm audible. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you confirm? Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Thank you so much. And speaking at the last sometimes is very easy and sometimes very difficult. I heard from a lot of the other panelists, and Dr. Hari just dissected the entire technical aspects of what HR analytics can do and how it is poised to change the entire the landscape of how we deal in companies, how HR is placed, and how it is going to help in decision making. So with that, I would like to bring in some aspects which will relate mostly from a perspective of an implementation of HR analytics. And to begin with, I would say why HR analytics. It has been, Dr. R.P. Singh was also telling, and the way that we are moving traditionally from now into this world wherein things are changing very fast in terms of how technology has taken over. And therefore, there has to be an amalgamation into what we have taught earlier and the way that we dealt with human resources, and what and how we can deal with them in terms of now with these technological changes. HR analytics, if you look at it, it's basically, a perspective of getting data, and it helps in terms of some evidence-based decision making. And that is something which is very, very important. What all I see from a perspective is that there is a gap when we look at HR versus what the business is doing. And most of the times what business tells is that they are not very clear in terms of how HR is making a difference in terms of the bottom line. And when we say bottom line, it is basically in terms of either the profits or either in terms of furthering the business strategy and the business goals. It is there, I feel that, HR analytics plays a major role, because, analytics basically, basically it brings in the aspect wherein you connect with the business, you connect with the organization that you are in, you get relevant data in terms of how the business is poised, what are the different strategic outcomes or indicators. And once you understand that, you can align your entire HR or human resources towards it on the basis of the analytical data that you get. And that is something that is very, very crucial from my perspective. Well, you also look at the environment in which the business is operating, and that is also something which is based in terms of the data. When you look at environment, you have your government within the framework that you are working, you have your competitors, and getting those data also helps a lot in terms of to simplify it. If you look at best practices which are going across the organization, and then probably mapping yourself, that is another aspect that also helps a lot. It also, when you look at analytics and when you decipher the information further, it helps in understanding your workforce well. Helps you understand and plot your organization. A simplistic example could be like, you can look at how your organization is poised in terms of your workforce. What is the age of the workforce? You understand the maturity of the organization, and therefore how you align your policies and systems, which could help you with getting, the output and the desired results. Well, other things which are very, very contemporary when you look at, from an employee life cycle perspective, right from the, the hiring of the employee till they retire from your organization, the data helps you a lot actually in terms of managing them well, in terms of feeding them with the different aspects, in terms of tuning your policies. and therefore you can connect well with them. The more you connect, I think other aspect which really helps a lot is in terms of engagement with them, because engagement is something which is very, very high. And when you know, one of the major aspects of analytics comes up from in terms of engagement quotients and in terms of engagement scores that you get. That is another way of looking at data and in terms of implementation from the aspects of basics of analytics that you are using. Future needs, when you look at, as Dr. Hari was also talking about, there are different tools which are there, which are coming in the market and which are very, very much, giving you data on your tips. Just excuse me a minute. I'm extremely sorry that just got a call in between. So, I was talking about mostly in terms of how we look at the future needs. So while we, do predictive analysis, we do get a certain set of understanding of what the scenarios would be, how it will be poised. But at the same time, you do not lose the control of connect as well. The environment, when you look at it in totality, and you look at, the environment per se, your organization, how the business needs are poised, and definitely in terms of how the future trends are going on, when you connect all these dots, and when connecting these dots are something which is enabled in terms of the data that you get. Once you connect those dots, your internalization helps in terms of building your policies, procedures, your organization, and then you get a flow of it. So whatever you are doing, it gives a connect in terms of how you are today, where you want to go as an organization, how you are impacting your bottom line, and how basically is your organization, your people are happy and they are connected. So I think with that, I would rest my case, because this is how it is from a perspective of HR analytics, and basically HR amalgamating with business in terms of giving the results. So that's about it from my side. I think I will take it forward in terms of the question answers that we receive. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, to give your thoughts and view on the power of HR analyst. Now we have some question from the delegates. There was a question, what are the key benefits of using HR analyst? If you can answer, Dr. Hari, if this question.
Yes, as I have already mentioned, why analytics is required, I'm just telling you, the benefit is one of the basic function we see, we want to recruit right candidate. And for recruiting the right candidate, one of the first basic thing I'm talking about in HR, analytics really helps. Now, the second area, in many of the companies, people are very unhappy with their compensation part. We are not getting the right compensation. They are very unhappy with the performance appraisal part. Because now gradually it is shifting to where on a right kind of analytics. You have to simply require a right set of data. Yes, problem may be arise where when you are not providing the right data, then analytics will lead to wrong direction. Otherwise, it is helping in almost every area. And the best part is it is going to reduce the absenteeism, enhance the productivity of the employee, overall productivity of organization will increase. So it is highly helpful. Any company must go for, they start using this in HR analytics part.
One more question is there. What do you think HR leaders should care about HR analyst?
HR leader should
care about HR analyst. Analytics.
No. Like, what I have suggested even during while I was talking, now in every HR company, they have to create a separate position. For HR department, they should create a separate position, especially as an analyst. Analyst is really required. I hope Sanjeev sir can understand very well, because he deals only with the data. And this when you will be start using this, try to understand. This analyst can really help a lot. And when you will see the strategy part, the strategy has a 3 component. One basic component itself is the analysis, data analysis. Then you can only take the right decision. So they should be really very important. And the company should start taking seriously this analyst people, not as an only IT analyst or any data. In HR department, a separate analysis is required. In a big company, they should keep it.
There is one more question. Is there analytics is a fast growing tool in the today workforce. How much do you feel it is a central to the future of HR? Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, we need your input on that.
Thanks, Ravi. The simple answer to that is that if you have to be in the business, you have to adapt to the change. So understanding how the business is growing, how the environment is changing, this technology is something that has to be embraced, and you have to open your arms to accept it. Actually, how you apply it, how you look at it, it has to be from a perspective of where you are and how you want to apply it. That has to be a very, very clear understanding of yours in terms of matching the two, the bridging the gap. You have a set of data, you have a set of requirement, you have your organization. How you marry all these three things. The moment you marry them, you get an output which is much desirable for yours. Otherwise, you have n number of n sets of data which are there. If you are not connecting the dots, you're not getting it right in terms of the organization and the way that you want and use that data, it's not going to be useful for you. So yes, future is for data, but at the same time, it is human resources that we are dealing with. And therefore, you have to be very cautious in terms of how you are utilizing that data and then putting it in terms of a productive and something which is going to help you further it. So the bottom line is that you can't do away with it. You have to be with it. You have to get it in a way that it becomes productive for you and helps your employees perform to the best.
One more question is there. How can simple HR tools and harnessing the power of analytical tools enhance the business performance, reduce cost, and prove a vision of data-driven decision making? Audible to you, Mr.
Yes,
Sanjeev?
yes.
Yeah.
So can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah. Okay. Question is, how can simple HR tools and harnessing the power of analytical tools enhance the business performance, reducing cost, and provide a vision for data-driven decision making?
So as I said earlier, also you have to be very clear in terms of understanding your business goals, because often you'll understand that the industry complains from HR, and that is one of the major disconnects which is there, is that HR is a function which basically is required for compliance. It is something which takes care of the statutes which are there, what should be there, what should be there, or they are merely drivers of policies and procedures which are age old. They continue to be the way they are. So the problem with it is that it is often seen and heard that HR is something which doesn't change. It's a policy that is there, that continues to be there. Now, when you bring it in track with what is required in terms of organizational objectives, in terms of how the productivity or how the organization is furthering, also in terms of what all you require. When you require that and when you understand that, you get into the groove of it, and right from the inception of any particular project, or basically in terms of any plan or any production line that is coming in, you have a set of requirements which are there, which you map it. And you currently, with that, you very well understand how the business is moving, and therefore the different aspects of analytics, like you can use your predictive analysis to understand what is the business line, how the environment is poised, how you're going to plug that in, and therefore enhance and get more and more benefits out of it. You have to be very, very in line with that, and probably change your procedures, policies in line with it, so that you remain viable and you are not dead. What is considered mostly is that HR is a function which is dead unless and until it changes along with the organization. The moment you start changing with the organizations and you are not in love with your policies which you draft as a function, I think things will be right, and you get a connect and things will drive in a positive manner. And that's where analytics plays a very, very, very critical and a major role. As Dr. Hari was also citing it out, that whether you get you have to have a person or a dedicated resource which looks into this aspect of data. And that that is very, very crucial. You get your decision-making parameters, which are very, very, objective. You don't divert from a perspective that, there is a potential part of it, but you don't link it with what is the factual data that is available to you, how things have been trending in the past and how they are going to come in the future. And then you establish your linkages. The other part, which is very, very as important with the human, is basically communication. And when you are doing things, when you are doing in solo, wherein, the business decides something else, HR decides something else, and there is no combination or, talking to each other happens, then things fall apart as well. Now, this bridge again is being, can be sorted out a lot. When you start analyzing your data, you have your data and then you put it into practice. The perspective is that you have to get as close to the business as you can and understand where the organization is driving and how you want your people to be driven further, and therefore enhance the growth, the growth of the company. So it is very, very critical. It helps in productivity. It helps in people brand building as well, and, connect with the people. You'll not believe there have been people who join an organization and retire an organization. There are organizations which I'll name like Tata, where people don't leave it. So they have been changing. They have been doing all these changes. They have been adopting those changes. They are coming up with new things which employees feel refreshed. At the same time, they remain plugged. So that is where, analytics is something very critical. You need to be connected and keep on improving your systems and your internal systems from an HR perspective. And that's where you will be, live. Again, I'll say live. Otherwise, it is dead.
Great answer. Thank you so much. Now I requested Mr. Ashish Wing, co-chair, HR and IR Committee, PhD CCI, to give vote of thanks. Mr. Ashish Wing.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, sir.
Okay, good. I'm not on video because I'm driving right now.
Okay,
so I apologize for that. Otherwise, I'll have to stop the car somewhere and then talk. Friends, it has been really a very, very informative and I would say an eye-opener for me, how important this particular subject is, analytics, how important it is in today's world, and the use of analytics in the industry today. मेरे 2-3 ऑब्जर्वेशंस थे हमारे जो एक्सपर्ट्स हैं वो अगर इसमें कुछ रोशनी डाल सकें. मैं ज्यादातर कंस्ट्रक्शन और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर सेक्टर को रिप्रेजेंट करता हूं. हर वक्त मैं उनकी भलाई का सोचता हूं. मैं ये सोच रहा था, जो आपको तो मालूम है सेकंड लार्जेस्ट एम्प्लॉयर है कंस्ट्रक्शन हिंदुस्तान में इस वक्त, और अनऑर्गेनाइज्ड सेक्टर कहते हैं इसको. क्या कोई ऐसा हमारे पास टूल सॉफ्टवेयर हो सकता है जो हमारा मिड सेगमेंट, मैं कंस्ट्रक्शन इंडस्ट्री की बात करूंगा, मैं L&T, शाहपुर जी, गैमन, एफकॉन इनकी बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, जो मिड सेगमेंट है, जो बहुत बड़ा प्लेयर है हमारा और बेसिकली फैमिली ओन्ड सेक्टर है ये, और फैमिली ओन्ड सेक्टर में लोग ये चीज अपनाना चाहते हैं. तो कोई ऐसी संस्था, कोई ऐसे एक्सपर्ट, कोई ऐसे टूल्स हैं जहां पर वो लोग जा सकें? Anybody can answer that.
Vic sir, nice to always we interact. And the last time, sir, our discussion was there only that we are talking about training of operators of the entire staff of the construction.
Yes.
And taking it on, sir, when you'll see the analytics part. So one of the things is advised that at least every company, because you have already said it is a family owned, and being a family owned now, everybody wants that data should be there on live dashboard. You can see, like even though you're driving, your information should be displayed on your mobile, sir, in the form of dashboard. What you can do, sir, like at least you can start every small company, they can at least hire a data analyst on a entry level position also, And one of the job he can identify that all the data he should start capturing. Even though it's been highly unorganized, but at least they should start capturing the data. Because you will see, sir, Vic, sir, what happened when Nandan Nilekani Sahab have taken a step and they have really created a UI, this unique identity identification in entire India. And this Aadhaar card have changed everything, sir, Ashif sir.
Yes, absolutely. मैं भी यही सोच रहा था कि आधार कार्ड भी तो यही है, सारा डेटा सबका आ गया उसमें.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
तो उसके आगे क्या करें?
सर
जैसे एक कंपनी में एक प्रोजेक्ट पे 150-200 आदमी है और समझिए 70% के पास आधार कार्ड है, तो उसके बाद आगे कैसे चले? वो कंपनी को एडवांटेज कैसे ले? जैसे आप अभी समझा रहे थे एनालिटिकल टूल्स के हिसाब से, वो कैसे एडवांटेज ले? एक तो मैं ये चाहता हूँ, मैंने पहले भी बोला था, देन आई थिंक वी स्पोक विद डॉक्टर जितेंद्र, फिर वो बात आगे बढ़ी नहीं.
यस सर.
आपके साथ हम लोग चेंबर बैठे और आप लोगों को आगे लेके चलते हैं. क्योंकि आप लोग समझाइए उन कंपनियों को, जैसे मैंने कहा फैमिली ओन कंपनीज हैं, दे नीड द चेंज, दे वांट द चेंज, बट दे डोंट नो हाउ टू गेट द चेंज.
यस सर.
You know, it's a very different thing than from a manufacturing sector. Manufacturing sector बहुत अलग हो जाता है.
Yes, sir.
वहां पर वर्कर भी बेचारा पढ़ा लिखा होता है.
That's true.
So how to go about it? This is the second thing which I wanted to say was, it's very important, very good to hear about these new tools. But जैसे आरपी सिंह साहब ने कहा, उनका तो वही कन्वेंशनल सिस्टम चल रहा है. वो वही सिस्टम चला रहे हैं. तो हमारे हिंदुस्तान में शायद दोनों का बैलेंस करना बहुत जरूरी है, क्योंकि बाहर के मुल्क जो हैं वो वहां पर लोग ऐसे इमोशनल और सेंटिमेंट्स और सोचते नहीं है जो हम लोग सोचते हैं. तो प्रोबेबली दोनों का बैलेंस लेके चलेंगे. जैसे आपने बताया कि मैं जैसे सोच रहा था कि भाई रिवॉर्ड देने की अगर कोई स्कीम बनाते हैं एक कंपनी में, तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ डेटाबेस नहीं होना चाहिए, कुछ थोड़ा सा उसमें ह्यूमैनिटी एंगल हमारे हिसाब से सोच से होना चाहिए. तो वो शायद बेटर ज्यादा लाए. टूल्स आप लोगों ने बताए, परफॉर्मेंस एनालिसिस, स्ट्रेटजी, गोल ट्रैकिंग, वर्कफोर्स फोरकास्टिंग, बहुत ही बढ़िया भाई. इट इज इतना कुछ हमारे यहाँ आ जाएगा. मुझे तो फिर अभी सुनते सुनते इतने सेक्टर्स दिखने लग गए. चाहे हॉस्पिटल्स देखो वहां भी यही है, एयरलाइन देखो वहां भी यही है, रेलवेज देखो वहां भी यही है. इसके बिना तो चल ही नहीं सकते अब. बट समहाउ आप लोग हमारे साथ गाइड करिए. जैसे मैं कह रहा हूँ, कंस्ट्रक्शन मिड सेगमेंट बहुत बड़ा सेगमेंट है, बहुत बड़ी मार्केट है, और इसको दोनों तरफ से इनको जरूरत भी है. और इसके बिना, अभी किसी ने बताया कि भाई इसके बिना आप आगे चल भी नहीं पाएंगे, वो भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है. I think I will not take much more time. समय बहुत हो रहा है, 4 बज रहे. Thank you so much, all our panelists. It has been lovely hearing you. Your expert opinions have been just great. Thank you so much. And unfortunately, हम लोग पिछली बार आगे नहीं आ पाए. इस बार मैं डॉक्टर जितेंद्र को बोलता हूँ कि हम लोग आगे चलेंगे, पिछले वाले टॉपिक पे भी और इस वाले को. Thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, to give your vote of thanks. I requested once again on behalf of PhD Chamber, to all panelists, Dr. Alka Kaul, Mr. Rajiv Bhaduria, Dr. Hari Shankar Shyam, Mr. Sanjeev Srivastava, to give your very experienced and balanced view. I am sure that all panelist participants has taken this note regarding the power of HR analyst. And I also would like to thank our sponsor, IFCO, Indian Farmer Fertilizer Corporation Limited, for sponsoring the webinar, for their support for making it a grand success. I would like to once again thank you and all of you to join this today webinar, and hope that everyone is safe and healthy. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ravi, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, so much.
हरिशंकर जी, शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत आपका.
Thank you, sir.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. मैं इस वक्त असल में वो गाड़ी चला रहा हूँ, तो इसलिए देखे आप देख रहे होंगे.
Yes, sir.
तो मैं रोक भी नहीं सकता कहीं गाड़ी. But thank you so much. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Okay,
Sanjeev, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.